Hello, beautiful people. Welcome and thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that you have all had a wonderfully productive Tuesday and that this week is going well for you. So, tonight we are on obviously YouTube with my YouTube family. I am also on Facebook and TikTok. I remembered to include TikTok in this video. So, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And today is all about Q&A. I'm here to answer your questions, and then I'm sure we'll dive into some type of discussion along some lines. I want to say hello to NarcCon. I know that you're in Ireland, and so we have a crazy time difference with you, but thank you so much for being here. It is great to have you, and you are such an asset to this community for all the information that you share with us and how you continue to uplift us and inspire us with your beautiful nature. I am so grateful, and I love how you take us on these hikes and these walks with you. It is so beautiful to see what you are looking at and where you are. Thank you so much for that. Welcome to everybody, and thanks for being here. So today's question and answers, and I did catch some questions that were already there waiting for me. So I'm going to go right into it so that we don't waste any time. And to those who are joining on from TikTok, welcome and thank you so much for being here. For whatever reason, I cannot get to see the comments that are coming in from Facebook. So it's just going to be what it is. All right, so here we go. So the first question that I have on here tonight is from Mike. And Mike is asking, how does an evil spirit in one person cause mental depression in another person? Well, that's where we talk about the transference of spirits and the evil intent behind the nature of that person. It affects how somebody thinks, how they feel, and it's all through, that demonic work or the demonic energy that is at work. So it's pretty easy to transfer. There are many ways that, spirits are transferred. I did talk about it in one of my videos, and I think it was it was one of the Soul Hunter videos where I talked about, the different ways that, they do transfer. One is through communication, association, different areas, as well as through sex, and how it also passes through parents. So it's that one, when the spirit really just depresses or causes a lot of anguish on one person, and it hinders how they view themselves, how they feel about their lives, and what it is that they're designed to do. It kind of like, is that negative programming over time, that when somebody continues to hear these things over a period of time, remember, it's an indoctrination process. So over a period of time, the mind, the goal is to siphon that person's soul and bring them into alignment with how somebody wants to believe. Just like how we can take a look at how cults work, right? How cult leaders work and how they build their cult following. They take on a godlike character, or they see themselves as gods, and they begin to start coming forward with these bold proclamations, which are all lies. Like, listen, okay, I don't like to get into too much politics, but this is the perfect way for me to explain this. If we look at a country right now, we have some people that believe that their leader is the one who has got the right answers and is able to solve all the problems of this land. When and sometimes it looks like a lot of the people will just ignore certain facts because there's that indoctrination. And sometimes it speaks to who a person is and where they are in their lives, as well as how they view themselves and they view those people who are around them. So, it just kind of really depends on how strong a person is mentally, physically, spiritually, as well as emotionally, for them to be vulnerable and open to such a toxic element entering into their lives, and how it actually plays out in their lives. Okay. So that was the first question. Thanks for asking that, Mike. I hope I answered your question. If not, can you just come back and, put it in the comments and I'll pick it up again. Another thing. Hi, Danny. Thanks for being here. And so, okay, Mike is asking again, would you explain brain fog? So brain fog is what a lot of people experience after narcissistic abuse, and that's that fear, obligation, and guilt. with narcissistic abuse, it's so insidious in nature, and the goal of it is to actually change the way that you view yourself, so you no longer see yourself how you are supposed to be or who you are, or you don't see your worth anymore. And so it's that negative indoctrination, it's the negative talk over time that causes these problems to exist. So what you find happening is that, it alters a person's self-confidence, it alters their self-esteem, the way they view themselves in general. So you got to think about how narcissistic abuse works. It's systematic and it's insidious. So if the person is trying to shape your way of thinking, you lose your own identity. And especially so when we have children who are raised by narcissistic parents, they grow up, unable to really think for themselves. And I'm not saying think, but to trust themselves, right? To trust that they can make a good decision, that they can make, a decision that they can trust. Or you find they procrastinate a lot, or they ruminate, they keep going back and forth between decisions, not confident that they made the right decision. And so that's that fear, the fear of, what will I do without this person? Because while you're with a narcissist, you have to, narcissists want to be worshipped. They want to be adored. Again, we go back to that godlike complex that they have, where they want you to view them as a god. And so they continue to, push forth their vision and their agenda over the person that is, they're in relationship with on any level, even if it's a professional one, a friendship, whatever. They push their agenda and their thoughts forward above anyone else's. So it's that fear to trust yourself. It's that fear that, what will I do without this person? Because we have the trauma bonds that are established, and those things are so resistant to change. For those that are not sure how the trauma bond is found or is formed, it's through that the intermittent or the intermittent exchange between the negative and the positive reinforcement that you get from the narcissist. So there's the reward system as well as the punishment system. It's the love bombing, the idealization, and then the devaluing. So it's just the back and forth between the two that create the trauma bond. And that thing is so resistant to change. And so it instills a fear, like, what would I do? Like a nakedness without that toxic person in your life. The obligation, the feeling that I need to be there, or I need to do what they say. I need to hear what they say, and I need to be who they want me to be, which is another thing that the narcissists do in the lives of their victims, is to make them feel like they owe, that this victim owes their life to the narcissist. Again, it goes back to that God complex in feeling that they're superior. So a lot of times you find these victims end up missing a lot of their lives if they don't get away, because they're not able to tap into themselves and to actually walk in their own purpose or discover their own purpose, because they live their lives in service to the narcissist. And so that can cause, them to always feel obligated to do what the narcissist wants them to do, or to go back, because, there's that feeling like, oh, I know something's wrong with this person. I know they're not good for me, but if I just go back and love them a little better, maybe, things won't be so bad the next time. It's that obligation, that I need to be there for them, because I realize that there's something wrong with them. They realize there's something wrong with them too. They just don't care. They want you to conform to their crazy so that they can continue to do what they want to do. But that's what we're not going to do. So that's the fear, obligation, and the guilt. Feeling like, oh, if I move on, what will happen to them? If I move on, what about their children? What about our children? What will people say? What about, how I will feel about everything? So that element of being in service to this person continues to play a role. And all of that ties into the trauma bond. And so you can see, like, fear, obligation, and guilt. All of those things are in the trauma bond. And that's why it's so hard to change it. And then what you also experience when walking away from these type of relationships is pink clouding. It's a phenomenon that is experienced by drug addicts, those who are trying to, let's say, break an addiction to heroin. For, if you want a more detailed explanation on this, then I have the video on YouTube that talks about the pink clouding effect. It's that feeling of being on a high when you first get away from this toxic person and you feel like, oh, I can do anything, I'm powerful, I can overcome, and I'm resilient and I can make it through. However, in time, you kind of come crashing down and you start to miss that person, and you now start going through the process of like, wow, because when you're high, you don't really think about the work that needs to be done to continue to stay away from that toxic person, to do the work to be done to, break that trauma bond. And, it's so hard, but that's where the no contact comes into play. So that, and, a lot of people want to view no contact as a punishment to this toxic person. But here, don't look at it as a punishment, because it's not about them anymore. It's time for you to reclaim your life and say, you know what? Time out for that. I'm going to do what honors me. And one of the very first ways to start honoring ourselves after this is to really enforce the no contact rule. It has got nothing to do with them and everything with breaking the trauma bond. That means like access denied. You should be as good as the past. Like, there is no way that they should be able to contact you. There's no way that they should be able to follow you. Like, even on social media now, we can't control what other people do, but we can control our own environments and how we respond to what they are doing. That means we're not going to be reactive, but we're going to be proactive, and we're going to, sever whatever relationships that we need to put on timeout. Some we just have to sever them altogether so that we allow ourselves the time that we need to heal, as well as the opportunity to heal, because that's going to be very crucial in us moving forward. So those are the first two questions. I'm just going to take a look to see if any came through from TikTok. I don't have any here, but okay. Let's continue to go forward to the next question. Thanks everyone for joining me. I see Narc Free is here. It is great to have you here. Hi vibrations, Danny, Chris, NarcCon, everybody. So okay, here is a comment from our dear Shauna. She says they hate it when you are getting stronger and they can see a change in you. They know they are losing their grip on you. They want us because they have no humanity in them at all. Our light shines. And here's the thing, there's so much truth in what you've said, is because the goal of the narcissist is to have power and control over you. They want to have power and control of your life, your mind, your emotions, and your will. All of those things that make up your soul. And I think that's why I've been like stuck on the whole soul part of you, because, we can't do self-love and self-care and ignore soul care. We have got to be sure that our soul is intact, because it's from our soul where we live, we move, and we have our being. It is our mind. Our mind thinks. So as a man thinketh with his heart, so is he. So that means the thoughts that are forming in our mind are going to dictate who you become, because it's through repeated actions, it's through repeated, practices that we become who we are. And, where's your mind? If your mind is sound and it's healthy, then we can expect that you will have a healthy, sound life. It's going to affect your mind, your emotions, how you're feeling. And so this is where you find a lot of the times that they want to tell you, get out your feelings. No, I dare you to get into your feelings, because your feelings are an indicator of what is going on within you. So sometimes with our feelings, we may feel like, I don't trust myself to make this decision, or I don't trust this gut feeling that I have. But you've got to be bold and you've got to be brave, because our body speaks to us, or our soul will speak to us through different ways to let us know that this person is not a safe person. And I want to say, we've been reading the book Safe People for the book club. And if you're not part of the book club, but you want to, find out more about yourself and how to protect yourself and what healthy boundaries are like, I encourage you to read the book Safe People. I don't have my copy near me, but it's by Dr. Henry Cloud and John Townsend. I believe I got their names right. But that book is teaching us so much about how we can value ourselves differently, how we can view our responses in different situations, as well as how to create an environment that is going to nurture who we are becoming. Because it's not just about creating boundaries for this moment to protect and to preserve us, but our boundaries are really there for our now as well as our future. So we can't get to that heavenly version of ourselves if we neglect who we are in the now. Who wants to have the trouble of going, overcoming another narcissistic relationship? Like, hello, let's do the work now, and let's put the right boundaries in place so that we don't have to do this thing again, once and for all. And sometimes, like I always say, like, we deal with we deal with when we get over one of these relationships and we do the work within ourselves. It really helps you. It helps you be able to identify who is not for you. And that's not to say that everybody you meet is going to be a narcissist, because that's not the case. Some people are just not the right people for you, and we can free them to go on with our lives. We don't have to hold on to people who are not for us. We don't have to hold on to people who are not part of our future, because the longer you hold on to somebody who is not right for you, the longer you keep yourself from embracing the person who is right for you. So who wants to be doing time with the wrong person? Because that sounds like a prison sentence to me. Like, no, go and be free and be happy with the love that is yours. And you've got to believe that it's there and that they are not going to be narcissistic. Then you will repel those type of people. So Coney has a question. Help question. My friend told me that the new supply and the narcissist are over. My friend said the narcissist got tired dealing with the new supply. Why did the narc get really tired? Well, the narcissist is just narking. They're doing what narcissists do. Narcissists get bored very fast and very easily. There's no real way of telling. Maybe they have a new supply. Narcissists, are pathological cheaters. What does that mean? That they are compulsive cheaters. They're obsessive cheaters. So they live triple, quadruple lives. They always have multiple partners. And just because they may have 4 people in rotation, it does not mean that they no longer have other people in the wings waiting to take up this, taking up the space of somebody else. You've got to think about it. And this is why I think that soul siphoning is really the great way of describing these people, because they are, they go and they get in these relationships for the need of narcissistic supply. So every target that they spend time with is nothing more than is a fuel pump. It's like going to a gas station and getting what they want. When they fill up their tank, what's there to stay for? They continue on their journey. They go until they need gas again and they pull up. That's all it is. So they gathered what they needed from that person. And once that person was no longer giving them what they needed, that's, let's talk about the 4 A's, the affection, admiration, adoration, and attention. Those cornerstones of narcissistic supply, they don't need that person anymore. That person they've done their job. They've been served. And so it's time to move on. The person could have also enforced. The person may not have been entertaining the narcissist like that. So, any of those things. Okay, so Kathleen, one from TikTok, says, I'll never wrap my head around them leaving their own family for another, but that really does happen. It happens pretty often, and they will leave one family to go and attend to another family just so, because that's just who they are. They don't have that empathy within them. And without empathy, you cannot develop love. And this is why we tell you that these people do not love. They don't love like normal, healthy people do. They just simply don't. Love to them is like, what can you do for me? What can I get from you? And when you've given everything, when they feel like, okay, I've drained this person, like I know her body enough to know that I've had all, she's given me all the thrills of sex that I'll ever get with this person, if they're that seductive narcissist. Or they'll be like, I got all her money. I got all his money, all access to their, they have access to your circle of influence, whatever they are searching for, whatever that narcissist has the need for. Once it's fulfilled, what do they need to stay for? They will go and create a new life with somebody else just like that. And it does not affect them. Another thing is that, when they feel like they're losing their power or they're losing control, or that, because they're also driven by that need to have supply. So if something looks like a shinier toy if it looks like it has more to offer than where they are, then they're not going to think twice about moving on. They are just going to go. And that's, it's tragic, but that's what it is. And, a lot of times you find, people are in the position to say, why did you leave? Why did this have to end? And there's that pain that is associated with, with the discard. But listen, that is a blessing in disguise. That is truly a blessing in disguise, because they just leave you, and now you have the chance to go no contact, to put up your boundaries, and to begin to do the work to heal from whatever your initial pain point was, so that you can heal what is not right within you, or just heal from this relationship if that's all it is that you have to deal with. But in order for you not to end up in this place again, in order for you not to be bitter and not to be bound by the pain of this experience, then it's really important that you take a moment to self-reflect and ask yourself the difficult questions of, how did I end up here? Was there anything that I missed? And, sometimes it's difficult for us to, admit these things, because we look at it as a, failure on our part. But I challenge you to be bold enough to be vulnerable with yourself and start answering those questions and doing that shadow work, so that you can heal, so that you can be restored and move on, because there is such a good life after narcissistic abuse. It does not stop. You do not need to diminish your capacity to entertain any one of these creatures longer than you already have. So on to the next question. Ash M asks, can flying monkeys become narcissists too? Here's the thing. With flying monkeys are really just agents for the narcissist. They do the narcissist bidding. They go around and they, pass on information. They spy, they gang stalk, they do those type of things to the victim. Whatever it is that the narcissist needs them to do, they're like the hands and the feet of the narcissist. They're going to go ahead and do that. Flying monkeys. So flying monkeys, yeah. Sometimes, you have some that are just innocent, and they themselves are targets for the narcissist, because the narcissist can identify that within this person, there's something that I can manipulate, and I can get them to do what I want them to do without them pushing back, and with very little resistance. So what they're going to do is just do what they're told to do, and it doesn't even matter. And, that says something about them and where they are. Maybe they are codependent on this narcissist. And then you have those who are just toxic, who know that this person is doing the wrong thing, and they're fully aware of, the truth of what is going on with this situation, but they couldn't care less. It does not bother them. Yes, Kathleen, I am on YouTube. Pink Girl Teaches. It does not bother them at all, at all. And, they go ahead and they engage, because they're able to derive that narcissistic fuel from, being toxic and, engaging with that narcissist at that level. Can they become narcissists? Well, sometimes, they're just really toxic to start off with. Other times they're already narcissistic, and they continue to, just go down the rabbit hole with the narcissist and do that. I believe that they can continue the longer they stay with this person, and as much as they give in of themselves into that situation or into that work, the bidding for the narcissist, it makes them equally as toxic as the narcissist, especially if they are already low or lack empathy themselves. Then they're just going to get worse. And, and I say they're just going to get worse because narcissism gets worse over time. The narcissist could be bad right now, but look at them in 10 years from now. Look at them in 20 years from now. They get worse with time. They become desperate, and they're really in a fight for their lives at that point. So yeah, they do get worse over time, and flying monkeys are and can be narcissistic. Okay, so Mahogany Shane says, my sister is a flying monkey, golden child narcissist. So when for those of you who are not aware, what happens is, like, when narcissists have multiple children, they tend to prefer one child over the other, or, depending on the number of children, they could prefer one or two, or whatever the equation is. So the one that they like is is termed the golden child because that child is put on a pedestal. The other child is going to be looked at as a black sheep or a scapegoat. That is where the narcissist pours all their toxic energy into that one child. So when you have now one child that becomes a golden monkey, really, golden monkey, a golden child, they really are groomed to become like the parents. They're groomed to become like the parent. And so they watch the parent and they see over time how they are given preferential treatment over the other siblings. And so it may cause a division. Well, it will cause a division between the siblings if that is continued to be nurtured and that is not broken. Previously, I think in a prior life, I talked about how within my own family, with my two children, their father preferred one over the other. And so what happened in our case is because I was aware of it, and so was my son. He was also aware of it. So he took on but my son is also highly empathetic. So he did any and everything to protect his sister and say, no, just because you want to treat me better, you're not going to treat my sister, worse. And so he made it his business to reject, any special treatment from his father and, engage more with his sister and myself. And so what that effectively did is it worked against that narcissist because he didn't get the end result. In fact, what he has is the golden child that doesn't want anything to do with him. But, golden children really do become, a lot of the times they do become narcissistic if that's all that is ever pumped into them, and they are not shown love and compassion and kindness and caring as they grow. And and it's really just because they want to continue to please this narcissist or that narcissistic parent so that they don't end up in the position of the scapegoat. And it just becomes a way of life. And, it just continues. That cycle just continues. Right. Mahogany makes another great point. She says their karma is you letting them go from your life. And a lot of people want to know, how do you get back to a narcissist? The real answer, is just that. She said it. Their karma is letting them go. Because what's going to happen is when you let go of the narcissist, you're able now to tap into yourself and to allow yourself, to focus on yourself. So if you truly do the work to heal and you come into alignment with your right mind, you're acknowledging your emotions and you're following your will from a purposeful place, from a place of your restoration, you are going to walk into your prepared places because you're now back in sync with yourself. A lot of, when you're with these creatures, you cannot serve your purpose and you cannot serve your God at the same time because they want to be your gods and you can't have two gods. And so what always happens is that people end up serving this earthly monster and neglect everything about themselves. But once you truly do the healing, they will always repel you. The thought of them, you'll be like, how did I let this happen? Like, how could I have been with this person? How could I lose sleep over this person? And those are real feelings, they really do come to you when you begin the process of healing. And then you're just able to look and just shake your head and be like, okay, it is what it is. And that's it. So, hi, DK. Thanks for being here. Look forward to your lives. You understand it 100%. This is not psychological order. It is demonic spiritual warfare. You said it. You said it. So I'm just going to take a look for more questions. So Love and Peace makes a very great statement here. It says that the narcissist always tells us we are selfish, so we give everything to ourselves. And that's another projection of the narcissist. You got to call these things for what they are. That is projection, because the narcissist is the most selfish person you can ever encounter, because everything is about me, me, me. You will serve me, you will do what I need, and that's it, period. There is no time for you to be an individual. They want to be enmeshed in everything that you do. And so how then can you be selfish if you're actually even giving up your time, your peace, your space, your soul to this creature? It's just a projection, and you cannot allow them. You cannot allow them to, take control of that. So hi, still Healing, thanks for being here. She says, Joy, no contact was a way for me to regain my sanity. And that's the first way, the first step for you to regain your sanity is to go no contact. The problem with no contact is it's really hard. We become so accustomed to having this person in our lives, and with the way they come, with the back and forth, with the love bombing and the devaluing, you kind of always want to go back to how things used to be, and that's perfectly normal. It's also, sometimes I think we're a lot hard, and you don't hear stories from creators like myself telling you how we broke no contact. Listen, I did. I sure did. I broke no contact, I think, after about 4 months. And I was just kind of, but I was really curious because I dove into, my healing process. And I said I was going to come out of this on top and okay. And I would not be defined by any of any of what I had experienced. I was going to be cleansed and healed and whole. But I was always curious, like, is this really true? And sometimes we really do, go back and forth and we ruminate, like, was this really, is it really, because sometimes it's really difficult to wrap our minds around what we've encountered after, this type of relationship, whether it's even with your family, friends, coworkers, bosses, whatever. It's hard. And so I did break no contact. And I had been bossing no contact for a hot minute until he also got desperate and created an emergency that I was like, okay, let me just go and go ahead and give him what he's asking for, because I didn't realize, but I had one of his tools in my trunk. And so I went to give it to him. But I was kind of curious to see. And it was once I was able to see, and I got confirmation from everything that I had been reading, every video, everything that I had done the work to try to figure out what just happened to me. And it all just made sense and it all tied together. So I know people break no contact for a lot of different reasons. After that particular instance, I did go no contact, and I've been no contact since. It's been over a year, and I don't even care, and I don't want to know. I mean, it's really been 2 years plus now, going on 3 very soon. So no, I'm not, but we do break no contact. The important thing is that, sometimes you do fall down, but it's important that you get back up again, and don't let those moments of weakness define you or think that you're not doing the work to heal, because it does take time. We don't just arrive in a place of wholesomeness right away, or in a place of healing. Sometimes we have to walk through, the valley moments so that we can get to the other side of the valley and experience that table that is prepared for us in the presence of our enemies. So, don't allow those valley moments to make you think that you're not doing the work, to make you think that you're less than, to make you think that this is it for you. No, this is not it for you. I'm here to remind you. I'm here to tell you, like, listen, I broke no contact, but I'm still okay. Just as soon as you fall, get back up and continue to move forward. Great. I'm glad that, once you broke no contact, Pammy, that you are able to get back, on the no contact, um, on the no contact board, because that's how we heal. And it's so important that you do this in this crucial step to go forward. Now, for some people, you can't be no contact because you have children with this person. For some people, it's your family members. It could be your mom, your dad, siblings, whomever, and you can't be no contact, or you work with them, so it's difficult to be no contact in those instances. However, you can always gray rock them. Now, what gray rocking really just speaks to is being able to be as boring and as dull as a gray rock. Answer what you need to answer, ask only what you need to ask, and sometimes you also have to limit the amount of time that you spend to them, so with them or around them, even if it's a phone call, whatever. So predetermine how much time you're going to dedicate to this person. Let's just say it's a family member. So you tell yourself that all I have to give this week is 10 minutes. That's it. And you decide, am I going to give 2 minutes for 5 days of the week? Or am I going to do 10 minutes all at once? Or am I going to do 5 minutes and twice a week or whatever. Set your timer and honor that. That's not how you begin to take control of your life. You don't have to share any details of your life, and just acknowledge the facts pertaining to the reason why you called. So if it's about children, keep it about the children. We don't care that they've moved on. If they're telling you that they're in love and they've met somebody, or they're engaged, they're having a new baby, congratulate them and wish them well, and leave it alone. You don't have to talk about, well, what about us? What about your children with me? Did you? No, they're not going to honor anything. You got to remember that they don't love like you do. And it doesn't matter what type of, and if you get overly dramatic and you start, showing a lot of emotion, and now you're having a reactive response, that's exactly what they want. And you're giving them what they want. You're giving them that narcissistic fuel. You've got to pull back, and you've got to now respond and not react. Wish them well. Talk about what needs to be discussed. Don't tell them about your life. You don't need to. You may be in love. You may have met the love of your life, and you're on cloud nine, and you want the whole world to know. Not this person, not the flying monkeys. Just keep your lips sealed, because they'll work against you. Their agenda is to be like, who is this person? Where do I find this person so I can tell them all the evil things that you did to me? And all the evil things that they're talking about or thinking about is everything they did to you. They just want to flip the script. They want to make sure that you are not happy, and that they can spoil whatever it is that you are working on or what is coming your way. And we are not giving them that power. Okay, so Latonya Morgan she is saying, like, Joy, I don't understand how a narcissist can come back after being gone. Yeah, they can come back. They can, like, you. It's just like how you can close the door and open it. Hello, and they're back. I always use let me keep it clean. Anyway, it's like closing the door. So you're able to shut the door and you're able to open the door. So it doesn't cost them anything to come back. They are creatures of habit. And with narcissists, they have to always return to the scene of the crime. So they have to come back, because narcissists will always view you as an extension of who they are. You're always, in their mind, going to be their property. Does that mean that you are their property? Absolutely not. You're nobody's property. You belong to yourself and your creator. You're not their property, but they view you as that. They feel like at any point in time, they can come back into your life and, just do whatever they want to do. But that is why us being no contact, us having boundaries, that we don't care if the narcissist is going to respect our boundaries, because guess what? Narcissists don't respect boundaries. They don't like boundaries. It's telling them what they can and they cannot do, and they don't like that. So the onus is always on us to respect our boundaries. Nobody else has to respect our boundaries but ourselves. So respect our own boundaries and don't let them keep coming in and out. They get bored. They'll get tired of being rejected, and they can't deal with that rejection when they can get in touch with you, when they find that you're no longer responding the way that you used to, and you shut them down. They are going to be in their little feelings. It's going to be a narcissistic injury, and they're going to have to disappear. Yeah, like a hemorrhoid, they will flare up again and come back again. And we continue to ignore them and let them live their lives, because who has time? Your life is not a revolving door for this creature to keep coming back in and out to dictate what life is going to be. No, we close the door and we do the inner work, so that this, us being able to reject them, it comes like second nature, because we're rejecting them because they don't speak to us anymore. They're not part of our future, and we are not part of theirs. We're on two different tracks. You cannot expect love to come from somebody that doesn't understand love. Narcissists are empty shells. They lack. They do not have empathy. Again, without empathy, you cannot love. They don't love their children. They don't love their parents. They don't love their spouses. They don't love nobody. They love themselves. They are in love with what you do to them and for them. Narcissists are unable to self regulate, and so they need sources of supply. And this is one reason why they need multiple people in their lives to get those sources of supply, those sources of fuel from, to regulate their emotions so that they can feel like, so they can have a moment of normalcy and feel like they're, normal people, but they're not. Hi, Shar. How are you? Shar is saying they are the walking dead. Whomever they come in contact with, they will destroy. They leave a lot of carnage behind. And those are straight facts. Behind every narcissist is a string of broken hearts. And again, it does not have to be just about intimate partners, but behind every narcissist is nothing but broken hearts, nothing but carnage, nothing but collateral damage. That is who they are. So, Shar, how far are you on your book? We are waiting to read your book. I'm going to have your book as part of our book club. So please keep us posted when you're done with it. Marcelo says that they feel it when we become aware. They can sniff it, and that's because we begin to radiate differently. We begin to take up, a stand for ourselves, and we may not just be responding to them like we may have initially done. One thing with the narcissist is they will study you like their life depends on it, and because their life depends on it, they want to be able to determine what kind of a fuel source you can be and how effective you will be. So as we begin to become aware of who they are, and we are tired of their toxic ways and their pathetic behaviors, then we begin to just be repelled by them, and we begin to not want to be involved with them anymore. And they're able to sense that because there are changes with us. We may roll our eyes, we may snap, we may start ignoring them, we just don't respond to them like we once did when we truly cared about how they felt, or we were just blind to what the truth was. Mahogany is back again. She says, when my anxiety left, when I no longer dealt with the narcissist and don't think about them, that's a start in healing. And here's the thing: a lot of times, and one thing I don't think is discussed enough is the PTSD and the CPTSD that comes from narcissistic abuse. It is real, and we can't heal in that situation. For myself, I was just talking to one of my girlfriends last night, and we were talking about, just about relationships and how we can have better relationships as we evolve and as we grow and, age as women and, just people in general. And I talked to her about how I used to always have migraines around that narcissist. I always had migraines, but the day I left, they stopped. And so there's so many different medical conditions that people experience with them. Some have digestive issues while they're with a while they're with a toxic person, narcissist, sociopath, psychopath. It causes an imbalance in so many different ways in our lives, not just in our mental or emotional state, but our physical too, and most certainly our spiritual well-being. So it's important that you get out of these situations, because there is nothing that can, we can't benefit anything from these people, or from maintaining these relationships with these people. So yeah, so those are some of the questions that we have here. I see Adrina joined us. Welcome and thanks for being here. Have I missed any questions, guys? I think I got them all. I hope I did. But if not, go ahead and put it back in the comments, and I'm going to respond to your questions again, or, I'll be sure to make mention of your question and answer it. Because a lot of times, one thing that I, used to feel, and it's so crazy because I was so committed to some channels here while I was healing, but I always felt like I couldn't speak in the comments because I was still so embarrassed by, that I actually let this creature into my life and wreak this much havoc in my life. But I don't want you to be like me. I want you to ask your questions, and I want you to know that you're not alone. There are so many people who have experienced, this type of behavior, and and it's okay. It's okay as long as you get the help and the support that you need. That's what I'm trying to say. So I have a question here from TikTok, and it's like, if the narcissist can't love or want their children, why don't they just go away? They can't just go away because it's about power and control. So they want to have power and control over whoever's in their lives, parents, children, grandchildren, whomever. They want power and control because it makes them feel important, and it makes them feel like, like they're somebody, because really they are driven by pathological shame, and they have a lot of self-hate, which is the complete opposite of what they display. They want to act all the time like they are like they've got it in control, but that's just who they are. They want that power and that control, and that is that's the thesis of narcissistic abuse. That's what sociopaths and psychopaths are driven by: power and control. And so when they're in power and control, that's all I can say. It's terrible because it's always centered around them. It's never about the needs of the children. It's always, well, how can this child serve me? How can this child, what narcissistic supply or fuel can I get from this child? Is it going to be premium fuel, or is it going to be the regular basic one? And whoever is giving them the premium one, that's going to be the one they love. If the other one is giving basic fuel, whatever it is, regular, they'll treat it like regular. And so that's even when we consider like parents with the golden child and the scapegoat, it kind of just works like that. So, oh, here's Love and Peace. And I'm going to assume that Love and Peace says, once they sense it, they escalate their abuse and become more obvious. They're about to discard. And that's what really happens right before a discard happens. You find that they're crazy, goes off the radar, and they're doing things that, you wonder, like, what's really good here, because the devaluation is increased. And that's just because now they're busy, because a narcissist is not going to discard anybody until they have a fuel source to replace that person. But here's the thing about narcissists, and this is where they keep on messing themselves up. It's like they lack foresight. These people lack any and all foresight. So what may be a shiny new toy to them could really be that low grade supply that is going to have them going crazy in a short period of time. Low grade supply means just like that regular fuel versus the premium fuel. It serves a different type of function, and they're not able to get as much narcissistic supply as they wanted from, or much punch or quality from it. And sometimes they find that low grade supply ends up being just as toxic as they are. And this is where you find some people talk about, the narcissist downgrading with the new supply, that the new supply was a downgrade. But I want you to also consider the fact that sometimes they downgrade on purpose. Sometimes they just hate you that much. And yes, I said hate because they hate. They are an empty shell that lacks any empathy. So there's going to be no trace of love. It is hate. That's just what it is. They are pathologically hateful, envious, and jealous. So if you are that person who is strong, who is resilient, and you have your life going on, and they can't stand to see you get ahead in life. They can't stand to see other people enjoy your presence, and they're seeing that you're able to go forward with your goals and the things that you've set forth for yourself, and they can't take you down. They hate you. They hate you for various reasons. I remember going on a date with this guy, and we had been planning this. He had been planning this date for a minute. So I knew it was a big deal to him. And and it was also one for me because it was us time, right? I made sure that I got, I looked as good as I could that night. And because I got compliments and he didn't, he went off he flew off the handle. And so that became a sense of, a point where he just displayed that envy and that hate towards me. On what should have been a good night. Like, who doesn't want somebody else to tell your partner that, hey, you look great tonight? I know, that's my boo. Like, hello, that's how we would think, but like, no, not the narcissist. It was like, why aren't you complimenting me? Why her and not me? And that's kind of how, they work. It has to be about them, and we can't take the attention of them. And so that hate becomes, it comes up, or it becomes more obvious. And so even in those moments, his tactics, his abusive ways began to escalate with those snotty little comments, and just doing the things that they do, and then start triangulating and all of that other nonsense. But that's just that's how their DNA is set up. It is encoded in them. That's just how they are. Let me see what other comments are here that I have missed. Here's a question from TikTok. Ex-narc left junk mail at current residence. He lives 30 minutes away. Why? Why would anybody leave any of their belongings from a place that they're moving out of, to be able to come back, to be able to leave their stench there, to be able to, say, hey, it's just like, sometimes they will leave clothes on purpose so that they have a way to come back and say, I came to get this, so that they can use it as a hover tactic to be able to come back. You can always return that mail to the post office. You can always, find out from a third party how to have it. She says he's been gone for 4 years. Girl, you better get rid of that mail. Get it off your hands, but he won't divorce me. And again, divorce narcissists, I have some videos on that on YouTube. It's hard because they make it impossible. And if your attorney is not versed in narcissistic abuse, I would suggest that you get an attorney who is aware of narcissistic abuse and how it works, because they play their attorneys, they play the therapists, and they use them against you. They use them to triangulate you, because listen, these guys have been playing the role of the professional victims their entire life. They have mastered that art. And so everybody is going to believe them over you. And so unless they're fully aware of, what the abuse is, and you don't even have to tell them that, listen, this person is a narcissist, but just seek out somebody who is knowledgeable, because they will pick it up. They will pick it up. And, I encourage you to do that, especially like, I talk about when you're in this process of healing, it's so important that you have the right support. So when you are checking out your therapist, your counselor, your psychiatrist, whoever you're going to go and see to help you overcome this abuse, be sure that they know about narcissistic abuse, because it's going to take a different pattern to get to your place of healing, because there are different steps, and it's not the same as a regular breakup. It just is not. That psychological abuse, the emotional, the spiritual, all aspects of it, they all play a different role with these type of relationships than they do with other healthy relationships, or even not so good, but not from a narcissist, just an abusive situation. It's always going different. And I always encourage you, like, if you're listening to channels, if you're reading books, be sure that speaks to your soul, that it speaks to who you are, because you don't want to prolong your journey, because you end up finding some coaches are narcissistic, some, and some people show it in different ways. Be sure that you vet who you are listening to, because not everybody deserves your attention. You cannot eat from everybody's table. So guard yourself. You don't want to end up from one situation to another. And I also have another video on narcissistic therapists and how you can pick out a therapist that will be good for you. And that applies to coaches too, and whoever you're going to work with to, get to your place of healing. Hold on, I saw a question, but they went by so fast. So Pauline is asking, what about they don't talk normally unless you do something they want you to do in their terms? It goes back to power and control. That is to control what you're doing, and they have to control your responses. So you have to be sure, you've got to understand that the narcissist wants things done their way and on their terms. I've said it, I said it quite a few times, I think even on this live, that, they want to be able to think for you. So you understand that they are soul hunters, right? So it's your mind. They've got to take control of your mind so that they can affect your emotions and your will, what you will choose to do. So they have to, for them, it's that power and control. They're driven by it. They have to control your thought process. So you're not allowed to think for yourself as long as you are with them. Yeah, I would just say you got to throw away that mail if they don't want it, or just drop it off at the post office and tell them this person doesn't live here. Or, I think you can just do return to sender or whatever so that it is picked up by the mail carrier and you don't have to deal with it anymore. I think it's retarded that they would want to still have some type of reach into your life, but you have the ability to put them right in their place and say, no, not today. Not today, Narc. We are going to, we're going to put this to bed once and for all. So here's a question. When the new supply speaks out about something the narcissist does, will he devalue? He seems to be making changes. They hold grudges if you speak outright. So one thing about narcissists, because because of that lack of empathy, right? They don't process emotions like we do. They can't self-regulate, and forgiveness is not something that a narcissist is going to do. They will forever hold things over your head, and they hold on to grudges eternally. That's just who they are. That's how they process things. They're not responsible for anything. It's your fault in every situation. So yeah, they are going to hold that grudge eternally. Now, when the new supply speaks out and the narcissist finds out, they are absolutely going to be furious, because why are you taking our business to the outside? Why are you seeking information about me? Why are you embarrassing me? Because that's kind of like a reverse smear campaign where now they feel like they're being targeted. And here's the thing with a narcissist, they are always, your narcissist, sociopath, psychopath, they are always on the lookout to be offended. And that's because they are very, what is the word? Paranoid. They're very paranoid because they forever cause injustices to other people. They are forever scheming against other people. They are forever, putting their raggedy, dusty behinds where they do not belong. They're always doing something to cause offense to another person. So when you decide to speak up for yourself, you're now walking in the devil's territory. So when the new supply does choose to speak out, he will devalue them. They're going to be put on punishment because again, they want control of a person's mind so their emotions and will can follow. So who told you to step out of line? Did I give you permission? Because again, they feel like they're your God. They feel like they're your master. So who gave you permission to step out of line? Who gave you the authority to go and talk to my ex and tell her or him these things about me and what's going on in our home? They don't want no parts of that. And so the new supply can't. He seems to be making changes. I'm curious because you say that the narc seems to be making changes. Are these positive changes or are they negative changes? I highly doubt that they are positive changes, because why is the new supply coming to tell you that the narcissist is behaving themselves? They don't behave themselves. I think that could be part of an attempt at triangulation, where they're now trying to control how you feel, how you see them, because the narcissist is not going to change. At no point in history has the narcissist ever treated a new supply better than they did a discarded one. They may have a period of, oneness. They may have a period of, getting along, or just, being able to live in peace within the narcissist terms. They may be able to enjoy that, but the narcissist is not going to change. They are always going to, they're always going to honor who they are, and they're committed to themselves. So they're going to honor themselves. So even though they may have a peaceful streak, and you also don't get to see what's going on behind the scenes. So you've got to remember everything that the narcissist puts out there. And this really does to me sound like, it's nothing more than triangulation to tell you that, we're doing better than, we're doing better, or the narcissist is happier without you and he's treating me better. Because especially when the new supply knew that there was another person, or they knew who this person was, they don't want to be seen as, not doing so well. It takes a lot for them to say, what is going on with this person? Like, I just feel crazy in this relationship. It takes them a lot. So, they're going to, they're going to just want to project a happy image or a happy picture, perfect family, whatever, just to get back with your feelings. So yeah, Julie talks about how, like, even the slightest reaction or comments can be insulting to them. And that's that narcissistic injury that results in narcissistic rage. They fly off the handle and they just, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. They just lose it. Like, they just lose it. And Craig says he wishes that they would stop, but they won't, and they get high on hurting others. And this is why we call it evil, because they actually enjoy doing these things. Like, when we hear of the sociopaths, the psychopaths that actually kill, that are predators, that are hurting young children, those who are defenseless, those that are raping old women, people who cannot protect themselves, but they enjoy it and they continue to do this, to do these acts, and they love it. That's because they're evil, and they really are evil. So, you can't, evil and good just don't go, they just don't mix. It's oil and water, and you've got to separate yourself, because we can't be around people who are like that and not ingest any of that toxicity. It's going to show up in our lives and how we respond, maybe within ourselves, but sometimes around other people. So you've got to be careful about, staying with these people and feeling that, feeling obligated to live your life with them because you feel like you're the one who understands them, or you have this compassion towards them. How about practicing some self-compassion? You don't deserve to be around somebody like that. You don't deserve to be in these type of relationships where you are being hurt mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, sexually, spiritually. No, nobody deserves that. And you've got to let evil go, because, there's always this thing that you reap what you sow. The narcissist is going to reap what they sow. And it's not our duty to sit around and be watch guards of their karma. No, we got to we've got to find it in us to let go of that, so that we can focus on our own lives. Because here's the thing, we also reap what we sow. So if we're going to sit around and wish this on them, we're messing with our own harvest. So we got to be careful with that, and we're messing with our own hearts. So, we got to find it in us to start forgiving ourselves. We have to start forgiving ourselves for the parts that we play, for staying in these relationships, for going with them, for ignoring red flags, for excusing their behavior, and for thinking that we deserved it. We've got to heal those parts of us and forgive ourselves, so that we can let go. Violet says, I'm so angry always now. And anger is a good emotion to have, because it's expressing where you are. But you've got to be able now to let go of that anger. And, you've got to find ways on how you can start releasing that anger, because you don't want to be explosive and lash out on other people, but you want to be able to process that feeling, to process that emotion, and let it go once and for all. So, I encourage everybody, if you can, go to therapy. Find a therapist so that they can help you process those emotions. Find somebody who can help you. Go to coaching, sign up with a coach so that you can process those emotions. But again, I'm going to say this forever. Make sure you're going to somebody who is not a narcissist. Interview them. Don't be afraid to interview your coach, your doctor, your therapist. Interview them, because you're not only giving them your hard-earned money, but you're giving them yourself. You're opening up the vulnerable parts of you, and you want to be sure that you're doing this around somebody that you can truly trust, because who wants to do this work twice? Who wants to be hurt by an intimate partner only to be hurt by the person who's supposed to be helping you overcome? Because just like the ones that we're involved in whatever aspect of life, narcissistic therapists too derive narcissistic supply from your pain. So they may take pleasure in actually watching you cry, watching you open up, and they enjoy it too. So you've got to be very careful. And the statistics, I don't remember the figure off the top of my head, but they're pretty high, because they've been reported, and there's studies being done. And I think, well, I hope that they start evaluating different people who are in these professions, so that they are truly in the right mind to help people, because you find that they gravitate towards teaching, towards becoming therapists, and it's all to derive narcissistic supply. Yeah, silent treatment is like a tool of the narcissist to control you again and try to have that power over you while they're ignoring you, they're entertaining everybody else, even if they're lashing out. Um, Even if they're just lashing out at other people, it's still that kind of control, and it's to intimidate you, really. It's just crazy. Okay, so Eileen is asking, can if I can talk about getting rid of all the moments I have of the narcissist. So I think that was one of the most difficult parts for me, because obviously I loved this person, and there were memories and there were things that reminded me of him. And how do I let go of somebody that I loved or somebody that I cared for? I had to take the truth for what it was. And the very first thing and the most difficult part for me was telling myself that, listen, all of it was a lie. Nothing was real. I acknowledged that I went in with good intentions. I acknowledged that my feelings were real and that I did genuinely love and care for this person. But everything pertaining to him was a facade. And you have to accept that. You've got to allow yourself to really just say, okay, this is what it was. There's never going to be a return on this investment because it was fraudulent. This was a birdie made off on my heart, right? And so you've got to be able to tell yourself that and fully grasp it so that you can put things in perspective and realize that, those moments, yeah, I'm the only one who showed up in those moments. That was a whole illusion. And, everything a narcissist, the only thing a narcissist can offer you is an illusion of friendship, an illusion of love, and an illusion of support. Everything that they do has to support who they are. It has to speak to who they are. It has to serve them. And so, everything is an illusion. It has nothing to do with you. It is all on them and where they are. They're an empty shell. They needed you to self-regulate their emotions. They needed you to feel worthy. They needed your narcissistic fuel. That's it. They don't want anything to do with you. And I think for me, that's where I was able to say to myself, oh, so this, all I was this to him. Like there was nothing there. It made going no contact easy because I recognized that it was a lie. And then, something kicked in me like, listen, you're lying and I gave you the best of me and I opened my heart to you and all of this, and you were walking on me and you thought I was stupid and I was going to hold on to that and that you were the best thing since sliced bread. Liar. No. And that's literally a conversation that I had with myself, and I said, no, I'm not going to be married to the thought that there was a real person here. I'm allowed to divorce my thoughts. And that's what I did. I kind of just severed it and said, this is a lie. None of it was real. If I would have stayed with him, it would have just got worse. I can't go back to him because he lies to me. And if somebody can lie to you, they can cheat, they can steal, they can kill, they can do anything. If you can sit with me, if you can lay in the bed with me and lie to me, what else can't you do? What else can't you do? And so, I held on to that and I never let that thought go. And I still hold on to that thought, so there is no, oh, if a moment was to ever come up in my mind, that was a lie. And I start redirecting my thoughts immediately because there's nothing there for me. So, question from TikTok from Jenny: why does the new supply stalk the old girlfriend? Here's why the new supply stalks the old girlfriend. And there are many reasons why this may happen. One of the reasons could be because the narcissist won't stop talking about you. And why is the narcissist? It's not because they love you. It's not because they miss you. It's not because they think you are great. That is now to get control over the new supply. That's to get the new supply confused or, uneasy about who they are. And so if the new supply is already insecure, they're going to want to see, what is it about this woman? If he likes her and he loved her so much, why is he with me? What is wrong with me? And so then they go and they stalk the new person. run surveillance on you to find out who are you, what do, what do you look like, why won't this person stop talking about you. And sometimes they do it because they're just curious, they just want to know for themselves. They may look once, twice, and move on. But when you find that they keep popping up and they keep stalking and they keep having even their friends, now we're getting into gang stalking, when they keep doing this, that's because that person is either insecure or just as toxic as your ex. I know with this particular ex, his his forever supply would always be on my social media, but I didn't know this until somebody asked me to stop. Somebody asked me to make my profile private because he wouldn't stop going to my profile, which drove her to my profile, because obviously he was talking about whatever I was putting up there, and mostly in my story, because my story is a little more, my personal life than my page is. So so he obviously was talking, and she was obviously insecure about him going to my page, or whatever he was doing or telling her, that she actually said, can you tell her to block him, and this is the account that I want you to block. I didn't know. And that was some, one of these fake profiles that they're forever creating. But, that's one reason why, because they won't. And it's been several years. So, that's just the crazy that is in them. They don't let go of people. And so to think that, even after all this time, we have not talked, and we only talked. The last time we talked was when I said I broke no contact, and I've been bossing it since then. I wouldn't even give that creature the pleasure to think that I would think about him, or that I would be concerned about anything, because it's not worth it. This is somebody, and this can help you too, Eileen, but this is somebody who lied. From the moment they met you, they were already lying. From hello, it was a lie. And so if they can really lie to you from the beginning, and actually mirror you, present you to you, so that they can hook you and take you through this process. That, let me tell you, the Bible talks about the enemy, roaring like roaming around looking for its prey. This is no different from the narcissist. They are just like their father, roaming around for targets, roaming around for victims, roaming around for opportunities to inflict their insidious abuse on people. And that's why I refuse to give this creature another thought in my mind. They cannot have any space in my mind at all. It is, it is what it is. And I take the experience for what it is, because now I can come and share it here to help other people come out of the pain, to come out of the fog, so that you can also now start walking in your prepared places. Because I'll be damned if one of those creatures thinks that they have a hold of you. No, you must come out, because that is the ultimate clapback. It's you getting your mind back right. It's you getting your emotions back right. It's you having your will. Then that gives you your soul back. And you focus on who you are created to be. What is my purpose? Why am I here? And you do the best that you can at that thing that you were created to do, that thing that keeps you up at night, that thing that is on your mind when you wake up in the morning. Whatever it is, be the best at it, because that is your power and that is your payback. And we're not doing this to pay them back, because we don't give these little demons and minions our focus to that point where we want to just pay them back. No, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve your attention, because it has to come back to us, and we just do what we are created to do, because they're like what you call booby traps in the path of life, to keep us hindered and to keep us from actually achieving the very thing that you were created to be. So no, go and be bold and be fabulous, be great at whatever it is. And we're all created to do different things. Some of us are created to be the best mothers that we can be. Some are created to be the best husbands, so that your children can see what a good husband and a good father looks like. We all have a different purpose for our creation, but find your purpose and move on. So here's a question from TikTok. He accused me of playing him. What does that mean? Because it's not true. Absolutely, it's not true. That's because that's what they were doing. So they will always, a narcissist will always let you know what they're doing. They do it by accusing you of doing that thing. They just project whatever it is. And because because they are so paranoid, they sometimes will accuse you of doing something to see what your response is, to see whether you're onto them because they're expecting to be caught. And that's why these guys are always like, they're always anticipating a narcissistic injury. They're so defensive and they're ready to cut up at a given, at any given moment. And, that's just who they are. And that's it. That's just another tool of projection. It's, you can't take that seriously. So for those of you who have children, who have younger children, for those of you who are currently trying to divorce a narcissist, or, are trying to, figure out, how do I gray rock this person? I want to suggest that you visit Narc Free's channel. She's on YouTube, Narc Free, and she talks a lot about raising younger children with a narcissist. She has some beautiful young babies with this narcissist, and she shares a lot of information that will be more helpful for those of you who are dealing with young children, because she's right there right now. My kids are older and they've made up their mind a long time ago that they wanted no parts of his life, and they've denied him access. So for me to go gray rock with their dad is not, it doesn't cost me because we're no contact. But she's awesome. And those of you who are actively trying to divorce the narcissist, or who are planning on divorcing one, or are in the process of divorcing one, I highly encourage you to visit Narc Free's channel on YouTube. She shares some awesome information. So thank you, Cree. Her name is Cree. It's funny because you start calling people by their YouTube name. So we're in public and I'm like, hey, it's Narc Free. I'm like, no, she's Cree. Here's a great one. So let me bring it back up. So Eileen is saying that she has mementos and she has gifts and pictures that she had with the narcissist. Let me tell you something. The moment that devaluation came from me, the discard, and I'm the one who did it in this case, but it truly does not matter who discards who. The only thing is we give praise that it happened. When that moment happened, I trashed everything. I could not hold on to any mementos because I had to focus on moving forward. So everything, gifts, pictures, I didn't call him to say, hey, do you want this? It was all trash. It was all trash, just like the person who gave it to me. It was trash. It was all wrapped in lies. And that's what I kept telling myself as I discarded everything. I didn't hold on to anything. So if there are some things that you feel would be, better that he has them, well, then mail them back or send them back through a third party. But, just get rid of it altogether. You don't, it's hard sometimes. It's hard to move forward when you have reminders. It's hard to move forward when the pictures of them are still there. It's hard to let go when you still have that thread of text messages, because in those weaker moments, it costs you nothing to go through your phone and start saying, oh, but he said this and she said this, and is it real? And how could they say this to me and then do this to me? And then look at pictures of, get rid of everything, delete the threads, delete all pictures, delete all videos, get rid of every gift. Just press Control Alt Delete on this person. Get rid of everything. That is going to hold you back for from your healing, or it's going to delay it, because it's like residue of them that is still there. And that's kind of what they want, is so that you don't let go of these things. That's why sometimes when they leave their belongings in your home, they want to be able to leave that scent of them there, that their residue there, because in their minds it becomes residue on your heart. So as long as it's there, as long as he or she can see it, then they're still going to think of me, or there'll be these reminders. Get rid of all the reminders. They don't belong there. This person doesn't belong in your life anymore. And if you're ready to truly take that next step and move forward, toss it all away. Sometimes, what I encourage some of my clients to do is to really make an event out of getting rid of these things. Bring your bring your inner circle, the people that love you and that support you, that uplift you and encourage you, because sometimes I get it. It's not easy to do these things. It's not easy. But have a support system, if you need one, to be right there in that moment with you, and gather those belongings together, and, really make an event like, listen, we're going to get together and this is the goal. And I want to toss these things, but then you have reinforcement there, you have support there, and you have encouragement. So as you pack up everything and you're packing up those memories too, just start declaring what you want in your life. Start speaking what you are not going to tolerate. Start inviting what you want in your life. We don't want to move forward, especially as we're gearing to go into a new year. We don't want to move forward with the trash of our past. So why not start now? Why wait until December 31st? Let's get a head start on this and start detoxing now, so that when it's December 31st, we can just be celebrating on the newness of what the new year has for us, without holding on to these trash items from this trash person. Nah. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome, Jacqueline. You know what I did like with my wedding rings? What did you guys do with your wedding rings? I put mine in the collection basket at church. I sure took those things off and I dropped them in the basket, and I was like, I'm done. And they went. And um, you know what? Yeah, it can be a trigger. Julie's saying that it triggered her 9 months after divorce, looking at pictures, of this person and of the divorce. And it does trigger you, and sometimes it can take you back into that hurtful place, that painful place. So get rid of these things so that we are no longer triggered by the person, or that it's not, it's no longer there. She says, like, I left, talking about wedding rings, she left them on the table. Yep. Yep. Just leave them right there. Right there. I'm sure that the narc is going to go ahead and pass those on to the new supply, to let them think that, because that's just what narcs do. They recycle just like that. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with recycling, but they will dangle that like a carrot in front of that person's, in front of that person. Okay, so somebody here on TikTok is saying he messaged me saying he missed me, then he blocked me. That was just to, again, that's more of their games. That's narking, doing narkish behaviors. That's to make you remember them. That's to make you feel like, like, just to impress themselves on your mind, is to take control of your thoughts. Because if they come and they know exactly how you felt about them, especially if they know that you're not fully over them and you're not recovered from that relationship, it's now their attempt to keep you stuck. And so we can't give these people that space in our lives. We've got to be proactive and block them. And I know sometimes they'll block you. On some apps, you can block them first, or, you can still block them even after they've blocked you. But like, you got to shut that joker down, and, don't allow them to, to play with you longer than, we already have allowed them. Like, it's just time to move on. And, yeah, it's crazy, because all of that is, again, a tactic to manipulate you. It's another way to devalue you, dangle the carrot in front of you and then pull it away, just to, just to get a reaction from you. And they know, and they don't have to. Here's the thing with these creatures: they don't have to be present to see your reaction. So what does that mean? That means that they know how you're going to feel or how you're going to respond. They can almost be 100% sure what your response will be, as well as your feelings, because they've studied you. These raggedy dusty behinds study you to know you intimately, to know, okay, so if I use this tool of manipulation, and I just, impress myself this much, or if I pull back, this is the response that I'm going to get. And they do it to play us like fiddles. And we can't allow that. We can't allow it. You got to know that this is just what they are. DT is asking, how do you find proof of infidelity? How do you prove infidelity for divorce? Is emotional abuse a means for divorce? I don't know if they would recognize emotional abuse as a means of divorce. I mean, we can cite it, but you would have to, I think, talk to an attorney about that, because I'm really not sure. Me getting divorced was a lot different from other people. This person was just too lazy to fight for anything, and it just spoke volumes. I remember, because I left the state with our children. I left New Jersey and I just like packed up and left. There was no conversation, nothing took place. And I know people were telling him that he needed to take me to court for kidnapping. He needed to take me to court for taking the children out of state without his permission and all of this. But he was too lazy to do the work. That's just the type of one that I was dealing with or that I was married to. So none of that affected him like that. But for some, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. And that's why I think Narc Free would be a great person to connect as far as that, because I'm sure she has that answer that I don't. So please contact Cree. Cree, if you are there, can you help me answer this? Because I'm not sure if it's recognized in the court, unless unless there've been like medical records or something that can support, or through a therapist. Now I know with me and my kids, or with my children, the therapist helped get certain things in the divorce decree by backing up the fact that this person was no good for the children. And that's why they were able to get away with, saying certain things and not having to be around him and that type of thing, because the therapist was able to come in and say, yes, absolutely, I wouldn't advise this for their well-being. So, that's what I would say about that. Emily, thank you for being here. She says their karma is you being happier than when you met them. Living well is the best revenge. And you're absolutely correct. Thank you so much for saying that and for your gift. Thank you for being here. Let me see. What else can I say? Okay, so here's a question from Finn, Mr. Finn off of TikTok. He is asking, will they ever be completely done with you? No, we have to become completely done with them. They will never be completely done with us. And narcissists will always try to hold on to people, whether they view you as an extension of who they are. They don't let go. It's us. We take control, and we take our power and control back, and we are done. And why I say they're not done with you is, as much time as can go by, we've heard of them coming back after 40 years to just love bomb and devalue, discard immediately. They do that. But they always want to be able to hold on to the people who they've had in their lives. If you think about some of these narcs that they hold on to their relationships. They don't break. I mean, they can break up with people, they discard people, but they want to be friends with everybody who has ever been in their life. And so, that just is, that's just what they do. They hold on to people. They are hoarders. They are hoarders of souls. So, so one thing is that, so soul hunters, right? They go and they gather people's souls. They gather parts of people. They learn and they study people, and they try to figure out, who are you and how can I manipulate you and how can I get what I want out of you? And that is only so that they can take what they've learned from you to go and impress other people. So it's never really about you. So even as you've grown up, or as you've evolved and you've leveled up and you've learned things, they just want to relearn you and re-abuse you again. They never come into a realization of who you were. They never have an epiphany. Here's another question that I'm going to tie into this is, do they ever feel bad for their actions? Absolutely not. If they ever felt bad about their actions, they would stop. And they don't stop. In fact, they get worse. So no, they don't feel bad about what they've done. They are just perfectly fine. And why they don't feel bad is because, again, they lack empathy. So they couldn't care less. They could not care less at all. They don't care. They could not care at all. You are just a casualty of war. You are just, hey, you were just there, and that's how they are. They do not care at all. So no, they don't feel bad. They don't feel bad about who they do to anybody. Let me ask you this question, and this is how you should ask yourself this question. Has the devil ever felt bad for any of the harm that he's done to anybody? Does he ever feel bad for the pain and the torment that he causes to people? Not at all. They don't. Okay, what if they're constantly posting about finding the right one, struggling to find the right one? Do they know they can't find love? First of all, they're not looking for love. If this person is truly a narcissist, they're not looking for love. They're looking for fuel. They're looking for the right supply. And those posts that narcissists put up are all about, they are all about, they're all about getting attention, especially, if they, they're confident about whatever and they put those posts up and then people say, come back and start, oh, well, you'll find one, the right one. Are you sure? And then, some people may be attracted to them because they're saying the right thing. And so, sometimes it's just a trap to get new supply. It's a trap to get new supply. It's a trap to get new targets into their lives. And it's to get them the attention that they're looking for. That's all. Why does a narcissistic family normalize their behavior as okay? Because they just accept it for what it is. And sometimes, they're just toxic themselves. And so if it's a toxic family and it's within their family and they've grown up with it, then, it's okay for them to be that way. That's just how they are, and they'll excuse it as, well, that's just who he is, because they may not have one, if they're non-narcissistic, they're most likely codependent or just as toxic, and not be ready to do the work for their own healing or to hold this person accountable. And it could be that fear, obligation, and guilt, that fog that keeps them stuck in that place. Yes, narcissistic mothers know that their sons, or when the question here, guys, is, do mothers know there's something wrong with them? Because my ex used to yell at his mom. Yeah, they know there's something wrong with this person. They raised this person. They've watched this person grow and evolve. And if the mother is, like a non-narcissistic parent, then they're fully aware of who her child is. Like there is no bit of confusion. There's just none of it at all. They know who their child is. We know our children. We know whether our children are right. We know whether our children are wrong. There are some things, and there are instances where we just know that, yeah, that sounds like something my child would do. But because she has also been groomed to accept this behavior, and sometimes they're just tired. They can't wait to pass this person on to the next one so that they no longer have to deal it. And so if you no longer want to deal with this narcissistic man, she's thinking, well, he can't come back here because I don't want to deal with this either. She's tired. And so, them moving on to somebody else is peace to the rest of the family. Thank you, Jude Kenna Jones. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your gift. So Emily here is saying emotional abuse isn't recognized in the court. Infidelity is emotional abuse. So it's important to be able to prove infidelity. Courts do not acknowledge the invisible wounds. Thank you for that. So there is that answer. And again, Cree, thank you. She said some courts don't recognize it. I was told that they see cheating, etc., as commonplace. Others see it as important. So there is a response to that question. Thank you, ladies, for jumping in with that. Yeah. Let's see. I know. Okay, so guys, it's been an hour and a half. And so I think our night is up. I want to respect everybody's time. And I thank you so much for joining me. I'm thinking that maybe I'm going to just be doing lives on Sunday nights. I'm not sure yet. If I do keep the 2 days, I'm going to come on Sunday with my, Sunday message, and then keep Tuesdays as Q&A. I'm still trying to figure out how this would work best. But if you send your questions and I miss them, when the live chat comments become available, I'll pull your questions and make some video responses to those. And you can also just put them in the comments under the video. So if you're not following me if you're not subscribed to my channel on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, Twitter, or on TikTok, I invite you to come join our family, our community over here on YouTube. It's Pink Girl Teaches, and you can put your requests, your video requests, and I will make videos to answer your questions and support your healing. Also, one of the beautiful things about the community on YouTube is that they really do jump in to help one another. So even if you are just, in a confused state and you're not sure about, what's going on, I encourage you to go through pull a video and go through the comments and read what people have said. There's so much information that is poured from experience as well as just genuine love. So I thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I thank you for taking your time and to spend with me. I appreciate you all. And I will be back on Sunday, and we'll see what Sunday's message is going to be. But until then, everybody, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Good night. Yay.